Have you ever wondered about maximizing frequent flyer programs? Have you ever wondered about how these airline mile redemptions function, commercial aviation works in this way, and all the concepts associated with such? Have you ever wondered what maximizing frequent flyer benefits are all about? Join me as we attend Joe Crawford's seminar during Airliners International 2024, Maximizing the Benefits of Frequent Flyer Programs. This is going to be an absolute blast to learn about, and I hope all of you are excited for this. So without any further delay, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Before we begin, I want to give a huge thank you to Joe Crawford and Airliners International for making this seminar possible. This seminar was so much fun and shows all the enjoyment that can be had at Airliners International. Be sure to check out Joe Crawford's full seminar on the World Airlines Historical Society YouTube channel, as there's so much to be learned from this presentation. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. Alrighty, everybody, welcome to Mr. Crawford's seminar here about maximizing the benefits of frequent flyer programs. I hope all of you are excited for the analysis today, as he went into a bunch of really cool pieces regarding not only the frequent flyer aspect of it, but just how to fly around for fun. That's really a cool part of this and a really awesome essential foundation that goes with this. So first and foremost, let's go ahead and get started, everybody. So first and foremost, Mr. Crawford has been a pilot for a variety of airlines, including US Air, a couple of carriers from Japan, and now he is a captain on Hawaiian Airlines, which is really cool. So he has a very diverse background. In the 1980s and 90s, he went to ERAU in Daytona Beach. So transiting back and forth, he talked about his experience during this college time. He flew a bunch of American Airlines, which was heavily featured throughout this presentation. So we went into a bunch of detail about how he maximized their frequent flyer program, along with the other promotions that he found during this time frame, which is really cool. So one of his favorite components of traveling, of course, was to see the world, and obviously that's what most people do it for. Obviously you have some business travelers, but a bunch of leisure travelers want to see the world, and that's exactly what he did. So throughout this video, you're going to see a variety of different slides that he showed during the presentation, and you'll just see pictures of him, in front of airplanes and land features and so on and so forth. And it was really cool to think about it in these ways. So we definitely have to respect that and think of it of the utmost importance, which is really cool. So the first major promotion during this that he talked about was a TWA promotion where the parents flew and paid for their tickets. Their kids would fly free, which is really cool. This ended up being his favorite promotion, which I think is really cool to think about as well. And he just remembered getting so fascinated with all the components of aviation, including the different aircraft types to fly, this really rare plane called the Super 80, along with also, we can't forget to talk about all the different timetables and other aviation items that were associated with this. So he did a really good job putting all these items on the slide presentation, so it was really good, and I highly recommend checking out these pictures in detail. If you need to pause to look a little bit more, definitely recommend doing that. But overall, it's really fun and just awesome to think about a free ticket, and TWA obviously making it a reality for people to travel around, which is just really cool to think about in so many ways. Well, what got really cool about this is he started to think about, the ins and outs and how he would be able to maximize these opportunities, which obviously, as any aviation enthusiast, most people, if you like flying around for fun, you don't particularly love going nonstop, which is kind of a fun concept. So he started looking into all the rules and regulations during the 1980s and 90s, and he found out that he would be able to sneak around the system and fly around on all these different segments, which is super cool to think about. So that's exactly what he did. So he was able to maximize it. So instead of going from like Boston to Miami direct, he would go through, wherever, Nashville, Raleigh, Durham, Dallas, and then to Miami. So it's really cool to think about it. And he also talked about the associated money cost as well, and how he's able to get all this value out of this one ticket on top of all the miles that he was earning. So all that's thoroughly discussed in the seminar. I would definitely recommend checking it out, and it's really cool to think about that. So he was able to get 6 segments for the same amount of money as what it would be a round trip, 2 flights nonstop, which is very fun to think about. So really cool to see all the associated maps and some of these examples. Here's a really good one: Windsor Locks to Chicago to Raleigh Durham to Daytona Beach. That was a very good example of how to maximize it, which is so cool, in the different tier levels associated with this as well. So you can kind of see with the fare categories and some of the various stay times and the connection cities and what the times associated with that were, and so on and so forth. So there were a bunch of really cool graphs that he showed, and he had some really cool frequent flyer statements that were cool as well, along with his various credit cards. And also a really cool component of his story is he actually is a million miler on American Airlines in their Advantage program, which is so cool. So he actually was able to set it up to where he was flying after a Dallas one-day show all the way back then, which is so cool to think about. The only American Airlines wide body they flew between Dallas and Chicago at the time, very similar to what they do today, a once daily wide body, this time on a McDonnell Douglas Indy 11. And somewhere in that area around Arkansas is when he crossed that million-miler celebration, which is so cool, and what an accomplishment for him. So much so that they were actually able to have a private reception at the C.R. Smith Museum for him, which was super cool, in April of 1994. So just awesome to think about that. He was able to meet some of the higher ups at American Airlines, get his picture with them. So it's so awesome. Then they asked him, "What are you doing flying all my Super 80s?" and a bunch of cool jokes. And all of those are referred to in the seminar video. So I recommend checking that out. He even made the airport news at the Hartford Airport in Connecticut, which is really cool. So just what a bunch of fun, man. It's so great that he got all this opportunity and, you know, just the various pieces that come with that. So extremely happy for him, and I'm so glad it worked out. Another piece of the puzzle that he did was explaining his top 10 favorite promotions and ways to maximize these frequent flyer benefits. Several of these were talked about, and I'll talk about each one here. The first one was going from St. Louis to Indianapolis, which obviously is a 3-hour car ride, but he was able to do Indianapolis, Chicago, Des Moines, Omaha, Dallas, St. Louis. A very vital piece of this was getting the Fokker 100 segment from Chicago to Des Moines. There was only a few of them at the time that he was doing this, so he did that a bunch of times from St. Louis to Indianapolis to maximize. Obviously, the cost was right because normally people just go, I think it was nonstop at that time, but either that or through Chicago. But as you can tell here, he maximized it. So that was so cool. And another really awesome piece of the puzzle was $98 round trip. But not only did he only have to pay $98, all the more he had to do was 10,000 miles as well, which is super cool. And then I think the return segment was like St. Louis, Dallas, New Orleans, Chicago, Indianapolis. So yeah, just really impressive he was able to fit in on this. This is not for Chris Slimmer. This was Mayagüez Airport that was referred to in a couple of sarcasm clips that he recorded telling some Puerto Rico aviation stories. But another cool promotion that he was a part of includes Bradley to Mayagüez Airport in Puerto Rico. So a really cool segment that you were able to do on that was Windsor Locks, Nashville, Atlanta, Miami, San Juan to Mayagüez when American Airlines had a large presence there. It was about $200 round trip, and you got 18,000 miles for it, which, as you can tell, just accumulate miles and continue to add up. And he used some really cool redemptions to get that, and we'll talk about some of those later. There was also a cool hotel promotion that he did, which included the Sheraton Club International Stay All For promo. So if you stay at these various hotels in this area, all the different ones, then you were able to get a big bonus. So that was kind of cool as well. He also threw up a picture of an American MD-80 to make sure we were all still paying attention. That was pretty cool. Another really awesome one was Orlando to Mobile, Alabama, which I believe was a nonstop at the time. And a way that he did this was Orlando, Miami, Raleigh, Durham, Chicago, Des Moines, Dallas, Mobile. So it's just so fun. I've done a bunch of goof flights like this as well, doing 6 segments in one day and so on. So I'm glad I'm not the only one that's done this at any point in time. Once again, Chicago to Des Moines on the Fokker 100. So very similar concept there, maximizing that opportunity. And so cool that, you know, all the components come together on this. The price is right, the aircraft types are right, the fun flights are there, all these Super 80s. This particular segment and the inverse way that it was done was Dallas, Oklahoma City, Chicago, Nashville, Miami, Orlando. $118 round trip. You got 14,000 miles for this. Absolutely phenomenal. Just really crazy to think that that's even possible, and certainly what fun, to say the least. Delta Airlines was flying Saab 340s in the vicinity of Boston for an extended period of time, and they had to reposition these aircraft to Portsmouth for maintenance. So they had a bunch of cool segments around there. So I think for, let me get the number here, $38, and you get 18,000 miles for it. You can fly a variety of segments, including Lebanon, I think that's New York or New Hampshire, somewhere in there, New York City, Manchester, New Hampshire, Portsmouth, and then Portland, Maine. So really cool that he was able to knock out all those segments, and great to get to hear about how that worked. Another really fun one was Boston to London Heathrow and London Gatwick. There was a really good American option where you could do Boston, Chicago, Dallas, London, Dallas, Chicago, Boston. Obviously, that's a bunch of miles, a bunch of cool flying, you know, value-wise, that's phenomenal. And he was able to do this for 36,000 miles and a $360 ticket, which is really cool to think about. There was another really cool one, I believe it was from Hughes Air West maybe, or one of those airlines, where you were able to do San Diego to Los Angeles. It was YX, I'm just forgetting the exact airline name. I think it's Hughes Air West, but it was Los Angeles to Milwaukee to San Diego, so you were able to go all the way across the country. That was so cool, and the price was certainly right. This was a $98 round trip ticket. You only got 5,000 miles, but I mean, just phenomenal to think about how all of that worked and the price matching of these various carriers and their frequent flyer programs and so on and so forth. Star Alliance had an awesome promotion when they launched with five promotions. So you flew all five of the initial Star Alliance carriers, United, Air Canada, Lufthansa, Thai, and Scandinavian. You were able to get, I think, 100,000 bonus miles and what was the other deal? I think you get 100,000 bonus miles, and it was Scandinavian that was offering 2 free coach tickets anywhere all around the world on all 5 Star Alliance carriers. So he's able to participate in 2 of these. He did the United one to get 100,000 miles, and then he did the Scandinavian one to not only get the 100,000 miles, but also get the 2 free round the world tickets, which is so phenomenal. Think about what fun and overall just really cool. So it was an extensive way of how he did it, but it ended up costing him $800, not only to get all those flights, but also to go to around the world on all 5 airlines, which is really awesome to think about, plus 100,000 bonus miles on United Airlines. What fun. It's his favorite quote. It's so cool to get to see all this and all of it transpire and come to fruition. I'm so happy for him. I'm so glad that he featured all of this. This one's not as relevant to the airline landscape, but it is very relevant to his travels. There was a Chart House restaurant promotion that if you visited all 65 of their restaurants, they would give 2 free round the world tickets to the person that did it, which is just absolutely incredible. So he successfully accomplished this. There was a bunch of location on both the East and the West Coast, well, along with a couple others, including in Hawaii and also in Puerto Rico. So he was able to knock all of those out and had some really cool stories associated with that. What fun. It's so cool to think about, and overall just a great time to say the least right there. So very happy for him that he was able to knock that out. He also highlighted where all he did it all at once, and just overall so cool. So what a story to go with that, and that's awesome. And then this takes us back to October 27th of 1981 for his number 1 promotion was Newark Airport to Miami on TWA flight 175. That made all this a reality, and that's really where, the foundation of this video is. All this flying around for fun and traveling and all that, he had a really great quote at the end to really tie it all together. Traveling is like the art of regulating imagination. Instead of thinking about how things may be, it's to see them in reality as they truly are. And I think anytime you get the opportunity to travel, it's definitely worth taking advantage of. It's so cool to think about, all the pieces to the puzzle and the reality of what it's like to just see the world in its entire landscape, and bringing it all together is truly fascinating. So I'm so happy that he got to do all this during his college time and, maximizing all these opportunities. I've been fortunate to maximize mainly, obviously Southwest Airlines sales, which are kind of non-existent at this moment during my time in college. So, maybe one day I'll have the opportunity to do a similar seminar. It won't be to the magnitude regarding value, miles, and segments as what his was, but obviously everybody has their own story to tell, and I really did maximize and did as much as I could during those times. But man, yeah, just really cool to get to see all this. I really hope all of you enjoyed the analysis. I really recommend watching all these seminars. This one particularly was really good. I knew Mr. Crawford prior to this, so it was really fun to get to see him get up there and just talk about what he loved, and I'm so glad this was a reality at the Kansas City show. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This was really fun to hear about from the aviation enthusiast perspective. We have more cool seminar analysis coming up, so definitely stay tuned for those. But I hope all of you are enjoying the AI content. We are already starting to work towards Atlanta very quickly, so very excited for the show this year. It's going to be awesome, and more analysis to come here in the near future. But with that, all that being said, that'll do it for today's video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. My name's CM Aviation. Take it easy, everybody. Stay safe. Trust the process. Do you love and love what you do? My name's CM Aviation. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all soon as CM Aviation is signing off.